Hi, I'm Robert Begley with day 168 of my video challenge. You know what NYPD stands for? For my entire life, as long as I can remember, that stood for the ideal, the good guys protecting the bad guys. Yeah, there were some bad cops, but my point of reference was my cousin Anthony, who was with the New York Police Department from the early 1960s until the mid 1980s. And he would share stories with us regularly, stories of celebrities. And I thought today, in honor of my dear cousin, I would share some of these stories of some of his experiences. The first one is 1969. New York Mets win the World Series, and one of their players, Ed Kranepool, a native New Yorker, became friends with Anthony. And on when the Mets won the World Series, instead of Kranepool doesn't wear his New York Mets cap, he sees my cousin Anthony with his NYPD outfit on because he's there protecting the players, making sure the fans don't um, get in the way and cause any havoc. And Kranepool takes Anthony's police cap. Guess what? That costs money. And the cops had to buy them themselves, and they would be fined if they were caught without wearing them. So Anthony's running through the crowd to the limo because Kranepool's now got his hat on, and it was not fun. So the day that all New Yorkers are celebrating this, my poor cousin Anthony was not having as good a time because he had to wrestle his NYPD hat back from Ed Kranepool. Another time, he tells me in the 1980s, actor Paul Newman he's studying for his role as a police officer in the film Fort Apache, The Bronx. This is late 70s, early 80s, and the Bronx was burning. It was a dump. And guess who was a police officer right there? I think not 144 precinct, but one of those, like right near the border of South Bronx and Manhattan, near Third Avenue Bridge. It's right near there. And Paul Newman was totally respectful, sat in the back seat while my cousin Anthony drove, or his partner drove. And unfortunately, one day there was a very sad incident, which I'm not even going to repeat here. But he was kind of shaken because he saw what police officers go through. And part of that is the saddest, lowest element of human nature at its absolute worst. That's what police officers deal with, and I couldn't do it. I'll tell you that much. And I That's one reason I totally respect Anthony, because he had the stomach, the guts to put up with that as a career. Again, upholding the right, rule of order, law and order, and but he also got to see celebrities and not at their best. I mean, my absolute first rock hero was Mick Jagger. Since I'm 10, from age 10 to 14, Mick Jagger was God for me. He was like everybody else was in the distance. And after he retired, Anthony drove a limo. He drove. That was one of his jobs, one of his side jobs. And Jagger was in the car. One time he's driving Jagger, and they go down to the Village, and Jagger wants to buy these shoes for the concert they're doing. They're performing at Madison Square Garden, and he sends somebody into the store to come out, but then he gets out of the limo, and Anthony's like, "What are you doing? This place is going to be crowded in like 3 seconds," which, guess what? That's exactly what happened. Then also in the early 80s, he has Madonna in the backseat of his car. And guess what? She is putting some white stuff up her nose. And he, as a police officer, retired or not, knows that that is illegal. And he's like, you can't do that. So what does he do? He kicks her out of the car. She's yelling at him, "I'm going to get your name. I'm going to get you fired." And he's like, "So what? You do what you got to do." So the last one I'll talk about is Frank Sinatra. Whenever Sinatra would be in New York, he'd have a performance concert, and he and his entourage would have pizza up in East Harlem, what's now today like Spanish Harlem. It's a place called Patsy's. I think 117th, 118th, and First Avenue. Still goes there. We still go there. And cousin Anthony would be told, he'd be on the detail. He'd have to go down there and make sure that Sinatra was safe. They had a good meal. They got out of Harlem both ways safely. And to this day, probably the last 10 times I saw Anthony when I lived in New York, we either had pizza or we were bringing pizza up to him. So Patsy's was like his favorite. But I'll finish with one story that a Sinatra concert that he's attending with my mother. And my mother, she loves Sinatra. I mean, we all grew up hearing the music of Sinatra in our house due to my mother. So I have tremendous respect for his voice and his career, but as a person, not so much. So she notices Sinatra on stage, and look at him. He's looking at his watch. He wants to get off stage. And my cousin Anthony's enjoying the music, and then he realizes Sinatra's singing a song, and he's like la 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 and looking at his watch. So if you want your hero worship destroyed, talk to Anthony, because he's seen so many of my heroes and saw them at their worst. But anyway, I love you, Anthony. I celebrated a birthday recently, and NYPD, New York's finest, Anthony, you are that. We'll see you tomorrow with day 169 of the video challenge.